So imagine piloting the ultimate war machine, screaming past Mach 2, leaving Mach 2 in the dust, invisible to radar with a swarm of stealth drones that could shred anything in your path. Meet the F-47 and Vectis drone. These are the alpha predators that are rewriting air dominance. This is like the wolf pack from Hangover taking Vegas by storm. Maybe they'd be punching Mike Tyson in the face instead of the other way around. My name's Ryan, also known as the fighter pilot next door. Welcome to the Max Afterburner channel. Today we're diving into the secret origins from black budget X-planes. We'll also be diving into 3 jaw-dropping operations where this combination could dominate. This is Batman and Batman, no Batman and Robin. This is rewriting air dominance. We'll be diving into a full update on this duo and talking about how they could own the skies together. So strap in, this is gonna be a wild ride. So the F-47, it wasn't born in some boring boardroom. It was forged in secrecy, and this is a clash of the titans. It was Boeing and Lockheed Martin. It was essentially like Brennan and Dale fighting for supremacy and stepbrothers. Even though they both loved guacamole, one of them has to win.
Ask you, you like guacamole?
The Air Force's NJAD program, the NJAD, the GigaChad program, whatever we're going to call the NJAD. My vote is GigaChad. Let me know what you guys want to call the F-47. But that NJAD, that next generation air dominance program, it actually started back in the 2010s because of the demand for a stealth 6th gen F-22 successor. And they wanted actual proof of this, not promises. And that's why we see that X-plane flying at Area 51 with those images that show it has been tested and is likely currently flying as we speak. Those covert demonstrators, they flew in black ops and black programs all over Nevada. Boeing's 2019 X-plane was a tailless stealth beast. Hey everybody, quick break from the video to tell you about today's video sponsor. It's World of Warships. If you're into intense military and naval action, this game is for you because World of Warships is all about commanding history's most iconic warships in massive 12v12 battles. Every month they drop fresh content like new ships from over 10 nations, cool cosmetics, and even wild ship classes. So think destroyers for stealthy strikes, cruisers for all-around firepower, battleships to inflict huge damage, and aircraft carriers that can rule the sky. And now they've got submarines for underwater chaos. And the graphics, as you can see, they are insane. The waves look real. The weather changes on every mission. It's like being in the middle of a historical sea showdown every time you play. So you can play solo as a lone wolf, or you can squad up to get that team thrill. And oh yeah, it's on consoles too, but right now it's their 10th anniversary grand voyage. From September through the end of the year, embark on missions to earn voyage tokens for doubloons, steel, and exclusive cosmetics. So whether you're new or you're coming back, they've got something for you. If you're new, use code XVOYAGE when signing up, and boom, you've got the Japanese Tier 3 cruiser, 20 days of premium account, a port slot, and a commander. And then you can crush simple missions for even more upgrades. If you're a returning player, just log in for special win-back goodies like exclusive cams, premium time, and high-value anniversary items. Don't miss this limited time event. To me, this game's the perfect mix of strategy and heart-pounding action, so it's ideal for chilling or going all in. And if you hadn't guessed it, I enjoy the going all in part because I might like adrenaline a little bit too much. Oh, and one of the best parts, you can play World of Warships completely free on PC. So click the link in the description. Playing this game helps you honor the past and command the present. So celebrate 10 incredible years with World of Warships. I'll see you all on the waves. Now back to the video. The X-plane itself actually is said to have had wings that could morph mid-flight for some sort of unreal agility that we likely haven't seen before. So the technology from that is likely being intertwined into the F-47, and who knows, maybe being intertwined into this stealth drone as well. But then the canards, can we just let go of the canards, guys? Can we really let go of it? It's like having pleats on a pair of khakis. No one rocks the pleats anymore. Now it's something different. We need to slash those canards and go with something new, but also we need to slash the heat signature to make sure that this thing isn't detectable with infrared sensors. But these monsters, these X-planes, they've flown hundreds of secret sorties out of Area 51, likely outmaneuvering the F-35, hitting Mach 2 with complete ease. In my opinion, I think Mach 2 would just be a walk in the park for this F-47. But Boeing's design won in the 2024 trials for its 1,000 plus nautical mile range aircraft and and potentially teaming up with drones for that aircraft and drone synergy. And then fast forward to March of 2025, Boeing has landed the contract and the F-47 has been born. It's essentially a legend that has now been born. It's come out of the shadows and it's ready to rule the skies. But it's been upgraded with the Vectis drone. To me, the F-47 and Vectis drone are perfectly teamed up with each other to rock and roll. So let's dive deeper. Let's break down first why the F-47 is likely going to be an untouchable jet. First of all, its stealth airframe, composite materials, radar absorbent materials, and a radar cross-section that is potentially smaller than a dime. But the tailless lambda-shaped jet with wings that could potentially flex and morph based on conditions is going to rewrite air dominance. Think super cruising at Mach 1.5 and then topping out somewhere close to Mach 3. And then you throw in adaptive cycle engines that can balance fuel efficiency with power, and you've got the ability to load out the F-47 with a lot of different technology. Think about directed energy weapons and lasers, and then that 1,000 plus nautical mile range. To me, that's probably one of the biggest things about the F-47 and what the Vectis drone is going to need to have, that long distance range to compete with threats in the South China Sea, that vast swath of ocean, being able to cover that and actually execute combat missions while going across that massive amount of ocean is going to be huge. You're going to need a lot of redundancy, and then think about the redundancy the drone will need as well. And when it comes to redundancy, to me, at this point, with the progress in aviation, AI, the ability for AI to fly autonomously, potentially even fly dogfights at 9 Gs plus autonomously, and then feed a 360-degree helmet-mounted display, similar to what we've seen in the F-35, but updated and more advanced. And you throw in the tech that could go into the F-47, and we're talking a whole new world. So think about quantum radars, 200 miles infrared search while track, and then an electronic warfare suite that could blind enemies simultaneously. So you lock them up, you can track them, and you can also blind them at the same time. Yeah, that sounds like a package that I'd want to have underneath me while I'm flying at 800 miles per hour over a 1,000 mile swath of ocean to execute a mission. This thing is going to rewrite air dominance. And then the F-47 commanding drone swarms via laser links or some sort of links that can't be jammed, and then staying silent while they do it will be the name of the game. Conformal fuel tanks and stealth refueling with a stealth refueler would also extend the range of the F-47 and the Vectis drones. And hey, maybe the Vectis drones could even launch and take off from carriers, rejoining with the F-47. So the Navy's part in this might step up exponentially if those Vectis drones are blasting off of carriers. And then you could refuel it with a stealth tanker and essentially keep that Vectis drone airborne forever. But the F-47, a 40,000 pound empty weight, twin 45,000 pound thrust engines, could make it a predator that sees, strikes, and vanishes, and no one would even know what took place until it's actually over. To me, the F-47's internal bays are essentially the biggest dealer, the biggest Grim Reaper dealer of death in the skies than you could ever think of. And then 6th Advanced AIM-120 JATMs. There's your first acronym. The Joint Advanced Tactical Missile. Long range, AI guided, and it could essentially, in my opinion, outclass anything that rivals have to offer, especially in the South China Sea. And then you bring in the Ramjet Fury that would be a part of the AIM-260. That thing could potentially adapt the way it flies for long range strikes and then change for close in kills. And then for ground ops, think about the AGM-183 that could obliterate bunkers at Mach 5. Hypersonic weapon that could strike targets pretty much wherever you wanted to. And then the wild card could be a directed energy weapon that could definitely be carried on the F-47 in my opinion, but the Vectis drone being a little smaller, you might need to adapt this weapon, but this thing could fry drones or even missile seekers from hundreds of miles away. To me, it's kind of like an episode of Tires where everyone is non-assuming, everything's chill, no big deal. Tires we're just this laid back crew running a tire shop, and then all of a sudden, boom, they're running some high stakes operation out of their back office. That's to me what the AIM-260 could be. And then jamming teamed up with that with electronic warfare jammers that could turn enemy radars to junk. This isn't just firepower, guys. It's surgical, it's smart, and it's a little bit savage. Okay, so we've covered the F-47, kind of the quarterback of the skies, and this is where the quarterback of the skies would really make sense. So if we don't go with the Giga Chad F-47, F-47. Maybe we should call it the F-47 quarterback, but it would be quarterbacking a multitude of Vectis drones. So meet the Vectis. This is a recently dropped drone from Lockheed Skunk Works. It's their shadow operations. Their back shadow operation offices have created this drone, and it was unveiled just a few days prior to this video being produced. This is a Group 5 UAS. It's a stealth perfected lambda wing S-ducted intake drone. Group 5 would be the most advanced drone that has been released currently. The lambda wing just is a bit of the shape of it, kind of a similar shape to the F-47, and then the S-ducted intakes. What that means is the air flows through and then back out so that radar waves can't dance in and ping off of the engines of the Vectis. So now no one's going to know that the Vectis drone is even there or what it is, if they're even able to see it in the first place. Again, this should have a radar cross-section about the size of a hummingbird, so it's going to be very hard to pick up. Likely it'll operate in more of a subsonic regime. Maybe there's going to be variants of this thing that can go supersonic as well, but you really wouldn't need it to be supersonic, in my opinion, because a lot of the operations that would be being done with this thing would be invisible. You'd be that invisible jet doing whatever you want. What superpower do you want? Invisibility. That's what the Vectis drone would say right off the bat. But it could likely cruise into theaters at somewhere between 20 and 60,000 feet. It has flexible bays that could carry AIM-120s. So think of the F-47 targeting aircraft coming at it, and then the Vectis drone is somewhere in the back or the side of the airspace, and the AIM-120s just fly out of this thing from a rearward quadrant where there's no threat detection for that specific jet, and then all of a sudden, boom, you're just smacked, and your jet is gone, and you don't know why. It's because there was a Vectis lurking in the shadows. And then you could also team up ground munitions with that Vectis, so it could carry probably 2 or maybe even 3 of the JDAM variant bombs, 1,000 pounds, maybe up to a 2,000 pound bomb, but maybe more specifically honed in on the GBU-39, that small diameter bomb. But here's where I think the Vectis might make even more progress, and that is ISR, intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance. Behind enemy lines, scouting enemy routes, scouting airfields where jets are taking off from, and then feeding that data real time to the F-47, so the F-47 knows where to target their JATMs, their 260s, to know where to launch those telephone pole-sized missiles, because the Vectis has been the eyes in the sky that doubles the situational awareness of the F-47, which is going to be incredible anyways, because to me, the F-47, it's going to be commanded by touch screens. So as the quarterback up there in that jet, you're going to be determining where you want to launch, where you want to fire to, just based on what type of situational awareness is being pumped into your cockpit screens from the Vectis. And the Vectis is going to be essentially a wingman that's going to be irreplaceable if this thing can fuse up well with the F-47, which is the ultimate goal. So with the F-47, the Vectis can scout, it can jam, or it can actually do the strikes itself. So it turns one jet, one F-47, which is already highly mission capable, into a 10 times, a 10x force multiplied combat jet. So strikes, whatever you need to do, firing missiles, you turn one jet into a dozen. And this isn't just a drone. To me, this is the alpha drone, and it's the enforcer. It's like the bouncer at the party. The F-47 has sponsored the party, but the Vectis drone is the one that's really going to enforce the rules. Let's talk about a couple different scenarios now. I like to call this first one the Pacific Phantom Strike with this duo, and it's going to be unlike anything that's ever seen before. So let's jump to the South China Sea. There's stormy waves that are crashing below as an F-47 hurtles from Guam. 1,200 miles out, a ghost in the night sky. The F-47 is ready to own anything thrown at it. Adrenaline is surging. Hearts are pounding like a war drum. You deploy 2 Vectis drones. Their sleek forms slip into the night undetected. They fan out like a predator on the hunt. IRST, another great acronym, infrared search and track sensors are piercing the fog to spot incoming hypersonic missiles that are 150 miles plus out. Their EW suite, electronic warfare suite, blasts and jams any type of enemy AWACS, airborne warning and control systems, and that turns the radars into static inside those enemy airborne and warning control centers. And then the F-47 pilot punches the throttle. The Vectis drones pump information to the F-47 cockpit, and then the HMD sees where the Vectis drones are targeting the F-47 weapons, and then the F-47's weapons bays slide open silently, like that thief in the night, and then all of a sudden, wham! 4 AIM-260s erupt with a massive fireball. That's probably the only way you're going to see the F-47 is seeing those missiles light off. So likely they would light off a little bit of a distance away from the F-47. And then a countdown. The F-47 pilot sees in their HUD, their heads-up display, a countdown. Let's say it says 28 seconds. 28 seconds later, 4 J-20s just disintegrate in midair fireball explosions, and the debris from those jets rains down into the churning South China Sea. At this point, enemy jets would scramble in a desperate move to try to figure out what's going on. But AI would predict every twist and turn of the enemy. The Vectis would lure them in, potentially with decoy flares saying, hey, here I am, come in and target me. I'm just trying to flare off your missiles here, come on in. The Vectis drones could try to draw in any type of fire. Now let's talk scenario number 2. This one's called the European Thunder Run. It's in Eastern Europe. Snow whips across frozen Alps as enemy tanks rumble through NATO lines. S-400s paint the sky with deadly radar locks, trying as best they can to lock onto any NATO fighters. The F-47 blasts off from Ramstein Air Base. Vectis rejoins with the F-47s, and they're both coiled like a serpent ready to strike the enemy. And then the Vectis could tune in to those S-400 batteries, and they would streak in, dropping weapons on them like meteors. They could torch any ground-based stations attempting to release drones. And then Su-57s would blast out of Russia, screaming inbound with their afterburners glowing. But then the lasers from the Vectis tag the Su-57 at 80 miles plus out. The beams are invisible, but they're completely lethal. They melt the sensors inside of the Su-57, and the Su-57 pilot has ultimately no options left, and they end up punching out. Now let's talk scenario number 3, an Arctic shadow war. As you all know, the Arctic is heating up, and this is no exception. So the northern lights dance overhead as subs surface through the cracking ice. Bombers are probing with drone hordes blotting the frozen horizon. The F-47 launches from a nearby Arctic base, deploying 4 Vectis drones mid-air. 2 of the Vectis drones peel off for ISR, intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance, mapping sub-routes with thermal eyes that cut through the blizzard, while the armed pair sinks into the HMD of the F-47. The augmented reality overlays, painting targets with that neon green. Enemy Bear bombers lumber into view. Fusion radars attached to the Vectis ID the Bear bombers at 300 miles out, and then the Vectis' lasers activate, clearing drone swarms that would likely be the leading edge in front of those Bear bombers. And then the F-47 could unleash hypersonic weapons from its bays, and those missiles would howl across the tundra, ready to shatter any targets in their path, shattering the runways like ice. Or also the AIM-260s that are on the F-47 that are targeted in by the Vectis drones could claim the bombers. Formation of Su-35s would potentially try to ambush the Vectis and the F-47, but the AI aboard the Vectis would auto-evade any weapons coming off of those Su-35s. And then the F-47 and the Vectis would team up to deliver directed energy weapons to fry that entire foreship. This is next level air power, and it rewrites every air power doctrine that has been known since the beginning of time. So the first F-47 has been said that is now being built. Its maiden flight is slated for 2028, maybe even sooner, and potentially having full operations with an operational squadron ready by the 2030s. The Vectis will likely team up and match that timeline. The Air Force awarded Boeing the contract in March of 2025, so there is now a potential replacement for the F-22 fleet that is on its way. But upgrading that F-22 fleet with an entire new way of aerial warfare is the CCA drone like the Vectis. The Vectis is now unveiled by Lockheed Skunk Works, and it is promised to be the best in class with survivability, electronic warfare, and attack in the air and on the ground. So if you're as excited about the F-47 and Vectis combo as I am, let me know in the comments below, and let me know how you think this F-47 and Vectis stealth drone will team up. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please watch this video right here. It's the best compliment you can give the channel, and I would greatly appreciate it when you watch this video right here. It helps the channel grow exponentially, and you guys have done that so far. I greatly appreciate it. You guys are the backbone of the Max Afterburner team, and I wouldn't be here without you, so thank you so much. I'll see you on this video right here. This is Ryan, also known as Max Afterburner, also known as the fighter pilot next door, signing off.